to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Shawna. If you're not new, thank you for coming back. Okay, so I noticed that our channel has been growing, guys. Like, if you're new here, hi, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank you for subscribing. I'm really trying to get to at least 1,000 subscribers this year. So if you know anyone that is interested in studying in Cuba or any of the other lifestyle content that I post on my channel, please share this channel with them and encourage them to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button and to leave a comment and let me know if you're new here and what month of this year did you subscribe in if you're new. Okay, let's get into it. So we're doing the first 2 years. So we're going by semesters. So in year one, you're actually starting university now. You've completed your pre-med course. You speak some form of Spanish. You're probably not going to be fluent, but you speak some form of Spanish. And the time has come for you to join in whichever university it is that you chose, whether it's in Havana or it's in whichever province, if you wanted to branch out and get a more rural feel, who knows. But it's time for you to start, and you're starting in first year, first semester. The subjects that you're doing in first year, first semester are CTST, which stands for Células Tejidas y Sistema Tegumentario. I'm also going to be telling y'all what in each one what you do. So Células Tejidas and Sistema Tegumentario. So as it says, células is Spanish for cells. Like, you're literally going to be looking at the different types of cells that exist: epithelial, blood cells, connective cells, muscular cells, etc. You're going to be learning all the different properties that they have, why they're necessary, why they do the work that they do, and what they are useful for in the body. So we already covered that. You're going to be learning what the different type of cells are. In tejidos, cells make up tejidos, which are, tejido is Spanish for tissue. So cells make up tissue, and then tissues make up systems. So basically, after you learn the basic cells, you're going to learn the different tissues that they form to make or that they're a part of, and then that basically covers like a big chunk of majority of the subject. And then about the last 2 weeks of the subject before exams, you learn about the Sistema Tegumentario, which is basically your skin, just skin, right? In honor of that, that's why you're seeing so much skin in this video. Yeah, so the skin was pretty easy. The skin is an organ, as if you didn't know, I was also as many people know. If you didn't know, the skin is an organ. So it was very important for us to learn it and its functions and what it does. That's what that subject is. There is a final exam for it, yes. The next course is SOMA, which stands for Sistema Óseo Muscular y Articulaciones. Yeah. This is basically, you're learning about the bones. That's what ósea means. Ósea is Spanish for bones. Muscular, the muscles, and articulaciones is Spanish for articulations. So you're learning all the bones in the body, what muscles work to move those bones in the body, and what different articulations or like joints, like in your wrist, what movement those joints do. And yes, there's a final exam for it. Sometimes people have a hard time with it. It's a lot of information, but the good thing about it is that the bones are easier to learn, and muscles, there are lots of muscle groups that move one bone. So you don't necessarily, you have different options for different things. So for me, because of that, it was a little bit easier for me. So yeah. The next course is Biología Molecular, BM, molecular biology. It's kind of a glorified chem to me. I did not like it. I was not very good in it, but I also think that had a lot to do with the teacher that I had in my first year, like first time doing it. I was passing my coursework all the time and thing, but I did not understand one thing. And then in my repeat year, the teacher I had, it was like night and day, fam. And that's why it's so important for you to have a good teacher, because the lessons that you're taught, varying teaching practices are completely different. And it went great and I understood it. Still not my favorite subject, but you just have to kind of have to pass it and then move on. So yeah, as I said, it's a glorified chem. I don't remember specifically what we did in there. It was a couple years ago, but yeah. Apart from that, Yes, it have a final exam. So those are the three main subjects that you have a final exam for: CTST, SOMA, and BM. You have to pass all three exams to proceed with the year. And in addition to those subjects, you also have other subjects in that semester. So you have to do PE. Yes, you're still doing PE in university. I feel the same way you do. It's just for the first 2 years though. And Introduction to Salud Primaria, which is basically, this is where you go to the clinic or whichever polyclinic that they assign you to over here, well, that your school assigns you to, and you go and what did they teach in that class again? They teach you like how the different health systems are set up in the country. So like that you have everybody doesn't just like get up and go to the hospital just so. There are different like consultorios. I know I'm speaking all the Spanish, but I'm sorry, I don't know the words in English for these ones, but they're different like consultorios, which are kind of like smaller, your community doctor that's like in every like block, there's like a different health center that's there, and you have to go to that doctor first and tell them what's wrong with you, and then they'll diagnose you and be like, all right, if it's a simple solution, go here. If it's not, all right, go to the actual hospital itself and they'll admit you, they'll whatever, and we'll go from there with the procedure and thing. So you're learning how they're organized, like what's the base, like what they do, what's the basic that doctors do when you get there, like the interviewing process and everything. That's what that subject was. And lastly, you have to do English. Yes, even if you come from an English speaking country, even if you've spoken it your entire life and you speak it better than the teacher, yes, they expect you to do English. To be fair, it depends on the teacher. I've had a teacher before where it was like, God bless that woman. We walk in the class and we told her like the country that we're from, and she was like, all right, why are you here? Just sign the paper. She told us the day to come back and just sign the paper, and that was it. Because that makes sense, right? And then there are other teachers that still make you sit the exam like to convalidate or to be exempted from English, even though them know say you can speak English and you speak it better than them. Other day, bro, recently, in my accelerated course, we had English again, not for this year, obviously. We had English again, like, because that's the first 2 years. And the woman came into class. She wasn't the lady who gave us the exam. We like the lady who gave us the exam. She was the G. She could speak actual English, by the way. She came into the exam and she came into the class and was like, what is the past participle of do? And all of us looking at each other like, because my class at this point in time, we're all like extranjeros, international students. Most of us speak English. Like, everybody's looking at each other like, what? None of us have done that since primary school and prep school. Nobody don't remember that, but to speak it, you know the tenses to speak it if you want to speak whatever you want to speak. So like, she's like, and she's so proud of it. Like, she going around the class and people guessing like, and all of us are rolling our eyes. I think somebody said, done. And she was like, no. And then after she gave the answer and she was like, done. And we're like, just guys, just don't even argue, just do the exam. If the teacher requires you to do the exam to convalidate to it, it's like they want like a page. No, there's a certain amount of words. So I think for like first semester is just like a paragraph, and it will be like your experience in your country or whatever. You can write about whatever you want. They usually give you topics, and then you have an oral aspect where you have to actually talk to the teacher and things. Some of them are necessary, but some of the teachers are chill in every subject. So yeah, that concludes first semester of first year, second semester of first year. So assuming you pass, well, even if you're not pass, you still have to do second semester. So second semester starts, the subjects that you have are SNARE, Sistema Nervioso Endocrino y Reproductivo. Yeah. This is your first brush with the devil. This is your first brush with the devil, this subject. All right. So as it goes, it's the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the reproductive system. But the thing is, and I don't think, all right, this is where it comes in. So remember how you did CTST, you did SOMA, and you did BM in first semester? In most of those classes, what you learned, each them kind of divide up into different things. So like Soma would have been like anatomy classes alone, because you're mostly like learning about anatomy of the body. CTST would have been histology classes, because like that's the study of cells. And then BM, I don't think BM counts in this case for like what you would do. Anyway, so they were basically like laying the foundation of what you would have to need and what you're going to use in second semester. So now when you're actually learning like the different systems, in this case, nervous system, endocrine system, reproductive system, you're doing anatomy classes for each of them. You're doing histology classes for each of them. You're doing physiology classes, which we didn't really touch on like that in first semester, but now you're introduced to physiology classes and embryology classes. So 4 major things. So even though you're studying 3 different systems and it's one course, it's 4 different types of classes that you're having every time with the course, and they're spread out in the weeks. So like they always start with anatomy, then we do histology, and then you do embryology, and then you do physiology always last. They might not be in that order. Sometimes they mix them up depending on how the schedule or how the outline is, but basically that's what's going on. Physiology is the hardest one. It should be the easiest because it makes the most sense. You're basically like learning how the different systems like function and how they would affect the human body, but to be honest, physiology is kind of the hardest one, especially if you don't have like a great teacher. And they always ask for a lot with physiology. It's so much information. It seems simple, but to explain is a little bit tricky. Anatomy is easy. Anatomy is easy. Embryology, I personally was not a fan. So basically you're learning how the different systems like originate in the body, what interaction with, whether it's interaction epithelial, what was the next one? I don't remember. Anyway, what interacts with what to form whatever organ or whatever like parts in the body. Later you're going to learn like about the stomach and all of that jazz and thing eventually, right? So all this, the origination you need to know. And then physiology, how it all works together so that the body functions. So that's with every system and every part of every system for snare. So the nervous system is the longest part of what you'll be dealing with. Like out of the 3 systems, the nervous system is the longest. You have to learn all of the nerves. You have to learn the different segments in the central nervous system and in the peripheral. You have to learn, everything. And you also have to learn the illnesses. So that's what we learn in physiology. Like what the different illnesses are in the nervous system and how they would appear. So like if you're paralyzed, if the patient is paralyzed on like one side of the face, like what side of the body is like affected, where would the injury be, like what are the signs that the body would display on the patient to let you know that okay, they're experiencing paralysis. Like, and paralysis wasn't the only one. Also, if it affected like your motor system, if it affects your sensaciones sensitive system. I only know it in Spanish. But basically, the different sensations that you feel in your body, X, Y, Z, and thing. So, and with all of that, at the end of when you've learned all of that, there's a final exam that you have to do. And in the final exam, there's 2 essay questions. One of them is always nervous system. Always. They would never set an exam and you don't have the nervous system as an essay. And that's exactly how they give it to you. So like a patient has that injury from XYZ, and it could be that they'll tell you the symptoms that the person has, and they ask you what parts in the body would be affected, what part in the body is the injury at, like in the nervous system, and you're supposed to specify, and you must argue your answer and justify your answer. They have so many options and it's a lot of information for you, so it's not snare. That's a good video here. Then that's just the first part. So I've covered the nervous system. The endocrine system was easy. Like the endocrine system has to do with like hormones, and that was very easy to follow, like the different cells that secrete it. So it was a lot of histology as it relates to endocrine, and anatomy for it was easy. So it was like the thyroid, minimum of the rest. But you know, the thyroid, the thyroid. Anyways, yeah, and same anatomy, histology, embryology, and physiology. But the physiology for that was real easy. And then lastly, the reproductive system. To be honest, the other essay question on your final exam is usually about the reproductive system. If we're being honest, the reproductive, them love it. It has a lot, it's kind of hard as well. Like the easier sex or gender to study for the reproductive system is males, to be honest. Females, we got a lot going on. The words in Spanish are a little hard to remember, but the males is like 4 parts, 4 main conductors or conducts that you need to know that like things run through and you're good. And like how they originate is so easy. Like with embryology, usually the essay question is like mesenterical. No, metonyphrical. Sorry. Yeah, and something else. Just y'all don't know what I'm talking about. But usually the essay question they're asking in embryology, like how it originates, when the baby like is growing and developing, what would determine whether the baby is a boy or a girl, or rather, what would determine whether the baby has male or female sexual organs or reproductive organs on the outside of their body or on the inside of their body. And you would learn all of that, and that's them love ask that question. So yeah, same thing with the reproductive system, anatomy, histology, physiology, and embryology. All of those different classes that you're having are being implemented in the response that you have to give on your final exam. And it's not just, so as I said, there's 2 essay questions, and then generally it's 7 questions overall on the exam, 2 essay questions, and then 5 preguntas de test. Preguntas de test means like true or false, multiple choice, to match the columns. Like, so it would have column A, column B, and then like the little, my brain's thinking in Spanish, I'm fighting to not use the Spanish words. The little line, like the dash right there, where you would put like the letter on column A side to match up with column B. That's about 3. Sometimes there's fill in the blank if they feel like it, and then there's usually like another multiple choice, to be honest. So yeah, could come anyway that they feel like. The papers change every year. The papers vary depending on the med school that you're at. You're never going to have like all the med schools having the same final exam. The information on it might be the same, but they're not set in the same way at all. So depends on you, depends on your school as well. I think that concludes there. The next subject is metabolism, which is basically metabolism. I think metabolism had another thing besides it. It's not just metabolism, but I don't remember. Anyway, metabolism has basically it's the follow-up to BM, but it's a lot easier. You'll have the same teacher teaching you it, whoever your teacher is, and basically it has another part, like in the name, I don't remember what it is though, but the main thing I remember from metabolism is like you're learning how at like a microscopic level, or like maybe even further than a microscopic level, how things move in and out of the body. So metabolism that has in the body. So the different pores that exist in the membrane that exists, like that you can't see, and how different things pass through, different substances pass in and out through it, like pores that open up, things, substances that diffuse, substances that get through the process of osmosis. Like basically you're learning that. So again, it's kind of a bit of chem as well, but it's a lot easier to follow that one than it was in BM. BM had a lot of like enzymes and things that you had to memorize them and know how to explain them and stuff and explain the process. But metabolism, if you thought about it and you knew like the specific names of stuff, then you were able to explain it because it made sense. The cycle that passes through as it relates to like how the body absorbs salt and different things. Anyway, and I think ending off, we did the different vitamins and how they affect the body and the vitaminas, yeah. and how they affect the body, and then their XYZ. There is a final exam for it. If you study for it, it will go well. But that one has the lowest fail rate. I think maybe I should have. Do y'all want to know the fail rates of the exams? Do y'all? If you want to, let me know. But in case you want to, the exam with the highest fail rate in first semester is usually CTST. To be honest, it's a lot of information. You have to really like study a textbook to be able, because they want. I've already spoken to you guys about the marking system over here. They want specific words, and you need to have the specific words and remember them for each of the different types of cells that are classified to be able to explain it. So a lot of time that trip up a lot of people. So CTST usually has the highest fail rate. Then SOMA, BM doesn't usually, but honestly it depends on the paper. But yeah. In second semester, I think you guys can guess which subject has the higher fail rate of the two that have the exams. I think it's pretty clear. Yeah? Okay. But yeah, apart from that, those are the two major subjects that you have that have final exams in second semester. You also do English. Again, if you speak English, you just do the exam. And honestly, so if you don't speak English, you should try to. If you speak like some bit of English, you should try to, because sometimes the teachers are chill and you'll pass the exam. Because I've seen people that I'm like, you don't speak English, done the exam and passed the exam. So PE again, and then you do the part 2 of Introduction to Salud. Primaria, which is like introduction to primary health, which I already explained to you guys how that was and things. So yeah. You're finished with first year. Oh my god, congratulations. Yeah. Now you're on summer break, enjoying life in your various countries, whether it's Jamaica, wherever there is, where I will live up life and everything. And then as your blinks August come, and it's time for you to go back to school because September is about to start. So now you're back and you have started second year. Congratulations, you survived snare and lived to tell the tale. Guess what? There's something else waiting to kill you. Let me introduce you to CRDR, snare's bigger, badder brother that will literally hit you in your face, like without even a second thought. So we're starting in first semester, obviously. CRDR, the importance of this subject. First of all, CRDR stands for Sistema Cardiorrespiratorio Digestivo y Renal. In English, the cardiac system, the respiratory system, the digestive system, and the renal system. You're doing 4 systems this time around. Same thing that you learned as it relates to like snare that you're implementing. So we're doing anatomy class, histology classes, physiology classes, and embryology classes. You have way more physiology classes this time around though. Like the physiology classes are basically like 70% of what makes up this year's coursework. Like it's a lot. You have a lot of physiology classes. So I hope that you're really able to follow and that you get a good teacher. And hopefully one that don't mark hard, because the physiology teacher them always mark hard. So it's always so hard. Honestly, you be getting like enough too, like through the semester. And then you're wondering like, how do you have the right to do exams? Because they kind of expect you to fail, but they still give you the right like to do the exam. I mean, as it relates to physiology, and make sure that you're passing like your anatomy classes, your histology classes, and your embryology classes, because that's what's going to bring up back your record reader. Basically, what's going to maintain like your record, for lack of a better word in this moment, because I'm blanking in English apparently, your record for the semester, and that's like going to make sure that okay, this is like my coursework grade. That also works with like your final exam, even though that can't help you in the long run, as you know from the importance of the exam video, linked here as well. Yeah. So why is this the bigger, scarier, uglier brother to snare, you ask? Because we're learning about the cardiac system, which includes the heart, the arteries, the veins, and the different like flowing of like the direction that they go. So we know that arteries irrigate and veins drain. So like arteries bring the blood around the body, and then veins bring it back from the body to the heart and thing. You have to learn the basics, so anatomy, and then you have to like Bro, there's anatomy. You have the most classes you have as it relates to this semester, anatomy and physiology. They work hand in hand, especially as it relates to the cardiac system. There's a lot of information. You have to learn all the veins. You have to learn all the arteries, and there's a lot of them, not just major ones. You don't necessarily need to know. You should know if you want to be a good doctor, but I can't tell you them all right now out of the top of my head unless it's the major ones. But you need to know like the ones that go into like the different like body parts and stuff like that, and you have to know it for exam because trust me, it coming back from exam like that specifically they're asking you like what is the trajectory of like an artery that needs to or of blood that is irrigating like your ankle or is irrigating like well not your ankle the muscles there or in your thigh or in your brain or like your face like and you have to know like the different names of the different arteries that do that. They also want the veins too. It could be arteries or veins or it could be both. They might ask, you don't know. So that's as it relates to the cardiac aspect of it. Respiratory is like the endocrine of like this subject of this course because it's the easier to learn, to be honest. It's kind of tricky in some parts, but it's really like easy. Like anatomy is like how air flows through your body, like the different passages that it goes through. Histology was annoying, but histology is always annoying. Embryology was annoying because I don't like embryology, but we still always have to do it. Yeah. Yeah, physiology was like probably to me the most interesting part of the respiratory system. So like you're learning like what causes your body like to react, what causes the different like illnesses in your body when you have like a respiratory, but like if one section is like or a barrier is blocked, what happens to your body. So like if in the case of pneumonia or in the case of like asthma, like so if a patient presents with those symptoms, what section in the body is the problem at? Or not even in the body, what section of the respiratory system is the problem at, like logically? Like that's how it went in physiology, and that was really interesting to learn. Can I tell you now? No. Sorry, but I'm gonna have to relearn it and think. The digestive system. Honestly, I thought the cardiac system was hard. The digestive system has so much information. Well, I'm saying that some of us study off of like based off of like summaries that have been passed down like from med students, and there's like a specific set of summaries that a lot of us use that breaks down things a lot easier than than reading the textbook. Like so much easier. It gives you like what you need to know and how to understand it and like what breaks down and like for studying. Fam, tell me why the resume for the digestive system are 48 pages. A resume, a summary of the digestive system is 48 pages. Who for read all of that? Pages, you know? Like who? And I printed my summaries before I came up because I prefer to have like the physical thing in my hand to be able to like be studying from that rather than to like keep looking on the laptop and think. It's easier for me, and I like to highlight and use tabs and go back. 48 page and it already boring and you want to sleep and you're tired and you have tests the next day. There were a lot of times with the digestive system that I did not study and I did not understand. It was when we went to school. Especially for physiology, the 48 pages were for physiology. It was when we went to school and we looked at our teacher, he would then explain and thing and do like a very condensed thing, and you still had to go home and learn and explain it to yourself. My course was accelerated, so like to be honest, we kind of ran through the digestive system. We didn't even get like proper evaluations for it, but it was coming on final exam. So even though we knew that, we had to go home and study and teach ourselves to make sure that you can answer the question upon the final exam. And when I tell you that it was the night before, 2 days before my final exam, and I'm sitting down with the digestive system summaries surrounding me on my bed, highlighting, going back, like, memorizing in my head, like reciting it back out from memory, like matching things up and being like, oh, that makes sense because X, Y, Z, and this, like, the digestive system was a lot, and it is not easy, and it is not fun, and if anything were to make you cry, is the digestive system, honestly. It made the cardiac system look fun. To the point where like I was like, why are there general doctors? Why are there general doctors? Who wants to study this? Like anyways, general surgeons rather I should say. Who wants to go and specialize in this? This is so much. Y'all don't sleep, like, fam. And the final R in CRDR stands for the renal system, like I said. The renal system, like you can't catch a break. The renal system was honestly a little tricky, but if you sat down and like don't shut your mind off from things. I think that was the major thing that I've learned in med school. Don't shut your mind off from things. When you open your mind and allow yourself to like be like, all right, this is possible, XYZ, and think, all right, it's not too hard. Let me try and force myself to understand it. I think it helps a lot. So for the renal system, you kind of had to imagine it, like, because pee doesn't really like flow just like that. It was like a whole thing. So basically, as I say, anatomy, histology, embryology, and then the embryology for this was also, it was good. Which if I'm saying an embryology conference is good, it good. But also I think it had a lot to do with the teacher that we had. Like she really like simplified it for us and made it easy for us to follow. That also came as like an essay question on the final exam. Anatomy was fine, anatomy was easy. Histology for it, I don't remember if it was easy or hard. I don't like histology, so probably to me I was like, meh. But the physiology part of it, it wasn't hard, but you had to like take the time out to sit down and teach yourself so that you could like understand what was happening as it relates to the physiology thing. Because you wouldn't just pick it up, so you had to like give yourself grace and time to be able to. This is the first subject since like starting Cuba that I actually went to a tutoring session to get help with it. It was just one. It was supposed to be two, but like just to like make sure that like we were good, especially since my course was like accelerated. I think I really wanted to get the help that would have been helpful. So yeah, that's it as it is to CRDR. That was very, very long. There's a final exam. The final exam is the devil same. It was two. Actually, I think it was three essay questions that we had for our final exam. Personally, I think it was like, it's three. Yeah, because we got on the renal system, we got on the digestive system, and we got on the cardiac system. And then there's 4 pre-contested tests, multiple choice, true and false, the matching columns, stuff like that. So we covered CRDR. The next subject that we're going to move on to in second semester. So a major thing to note, CRDR, I've spoken about everything for CRDR. That is the only subject that has a final exam in second year. Like in the entire year, not just first and second semester, that's the only one that has a final exam. So that is the most important subject. The most important subject. That is the key to the city. That is if you pass CRDR, you're basically in a third year. Like you're basically already into third year. So it is very, very extremely important that you pass CRDR, because if you don't pass CRDR and you pass every other subject, even if it's the only subject that you have failed, you still have to repeat the year. For that one subject in first semester, they will not let you continue and go into third year. One subject. CRDR is do or die. So if you have to die, what? If you have to die while doing CRDR, die and come back. Because like CRDR is a lot, but you have to like cram it. Or if you can start studying from early, there's a lot of information that you're going to have to like continue and like going over. But trust me, if you want to see the gates of third year and be done with like a whole like school system, like the school system, like going up to whichever school you have and finally going to the hospital and do your practicals and things, they have to pass CRDR. So the next subject is in first semester is Prevention de Salud. Prevention de Salud is basically, it's like what I told you before, where it was like introduction to primary salud. But in this one, you're learning like how certain illnesses are caused and formed and how to avoid having that happen to you. So like whether it's diabetes, we study like what causes diabetes, how to avoid diabetes, like what sports and exercise and basically living a healthy life will do for you in the long run as it relates to like your health is like that. That's what Prevención de Salud was. We went around to some people's house like in the community and got information, but that's because there's always like a final project as it relates to those subjects. So we had to get that information and get their history, like their health history, to be able to do the final project and things. So every year there's always a final project for that. So there's a final project for it, not a final exam. You need to pass your final project, and you always get like your regular tests and like quiz throughout the semester and things. So you need to be studying. It was pretty easy to follow though. Like the tests that we got for those, they were so good. Like we were really there like stressing out and things. Like the way they were said, they were good. I enjoyed them. We never got back our grades though, but we know that we passed. So yeah. Next, PE. Yes, still PE for first semester. Yeah, I had to join. It used to be back in the day, join a sport and you're exempted from it. You just like basically get like 5, but COVID, they don't really be having sports like that anymore. So it's usually like we still have to do PE. I do like a couple weeks and then they'll be like, do you find a project and carry team? Some teachers don't even want to find a project anymore. It's in my opinion, it's a waste of time. I don't think they read it, but anyway. PE, English, again. Again, do your exam. Get convalidated, move on. Sangre y inmunidad. That is the other like relevant subject as it relates to like CRDR like in this semester. There's no final exam for it. However, there is a final project and presentation for this subject. Sangre y inmunidad. Sangre stands for blood. Sangre is the Spanish for blood. Inmunidad and immunity. So you're learning the different properties that blood has, what blood is, and blood was like a very short portion of it, and then you learned immunity, like immunidad. So you're learning like how your body fights off illnesses, like antibodies, antigens, XYZ, what they do, why they're toxic in some people and why they're not in other people, like all of that, and then the different diseases, so like HIV, what happens, like all of that just. And then there's a final exam and final project, and you have to present your final project in front of like 3 teachers. Yeah, 2 or 3 teachers. And then you get your final grade and you sign for it and you're done with that subject. But those are the 2 major ones in first semester for second year. So CRDR and Sangre y Inmunidad, 2 major subjects. Only one has the final exam, which is CRDR, which is a determining factor, but Sangre is going to take up a good chunk of your time as well. It usually also finishes before CRDR, so it finishes a couple weeks before CRDR, so you can like focus on CRDR and your final exam for CRDR. But yeah. And finally, in first semester, there is now biostats. Oh, I think I forgot to mention. I'm going to address it after. Biostats. Biostats is I'm saying English, yeah. In Spanish, it's biostatistica. It's glorified math that don't make no sense. And I've always been a math person. It's a glorified math course that don't make no sense. There's a couple midterms that you have to do, and then like 3 of them, and then there's like a final project that you have to do at the end of it, and then you give that in. But yeah, that subject was kind of, I can't tell you what to do the subject. I did the math. Never makes sense to me. There's lots of formulas that you have to memorize and do it in the class and things. The teachers, as it relates to that, depending on teacher. The teacher that I had, she was very chill. This black lady, and she did one whole pass. Like I remember in her final presentation, it was her and like a teacher that's not your teacher to make sure that things are like fairly graded and evaluated. And we're doing a presentation and like they asking a specific question that I cannot answer because I don't know this ish, even though I read it. And like the external teacher wanted to, like my groupmates are answering, you know, but the external teacher like specifically wanted to ask me like a question, and I was like, question marks everywhere, blank, 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 blank. Like, what? And I responded something, and then my teacher was like, And then the woman wanted to ask something else, and she was like, yeah, bueno, cuatro. And I was like, thank you, bye. Thank you so much. Like, so I really hope you all get a good teacher. Like, because some of these teachers, people have actually failed for bias stats, which is wild to me, because I'm just like, and it's just because of their final presentation. I was so glad to be done. Yeah, that's it for first semester in second year. Second semester of second year, which is what I'm currently in now. I'm about to finish in like a couple of weeks, so I can tell you guys about it like first. Well, I can tell you all of this about first time, so we've been doing. But yeah, first, again, the main subject for that depends on like you getting into third year, you already are that done. So second semester in second year, to be honest, is kind of like a chill year. It's kind of it's boring, to be honest. It's also like unnecessary work, so much unnecessary work, but I guess you have to study, but it's just anyway, you have genetics, genetica, microbiologia, which is microbi, and introduction to clinical media, which is the most important out of all of these, to be honest. So I'll go talk about genetics first. Genetics, I did genetics in Jamaica, didn't like it. I did genetics over here, still don't like it. It's like, y'all know what genetics is. If you don't know what genetics is, the study of genes, like as it relates to the body and like chromosomes and all of that jazz, and like hereditary illnesses that can be passed down, different ones, what they are, how like mutation in the gene can cause XYZ to result in your body, like stuff like that, right? Or like if you have a pregnant mom and she's healthy and like the father has like a illness, but it might be recessive, but he's still like, he's a carrier, then like there's a chance that the baby might get the gene, depending, and you're supposed to calculate the likelihood of that and the probability, but boring. Anyways, you have to do that. We're doing that right now. There's no final project for it, and there's no final exam. However, there is a final test, which is like, it depends on your entire coursework, and then and the grades that you're getting throughout the weeks, like from on coursework, quizzes, tests, like those. And then there's like a final test that like, if you fail it and you have like a good coursework along the way, you're not gonna fail, but like if you pass, it's good. But they average out all of the grades and thing, and then from there they'll move forward with your final grade. So there's just one major test like that. It's called Seminaria Integradora. So it's a regular test that you would have like every couple of weeks, but it holds just a little bit more weight than like a regular test. Just a little bit, not much. Microbe. So boring with a capital B, but y'all don't care about whether it's boring or not. Maybe this might be interesting to somebody else, but all my other friends that have done it are like, yo, this is boring. All the people in my class right now are thinking like, yo, this is boring. But I have done it in Jamaica before as well. It did boring then too. But microbe is basically the study of like microbiology, like organisms that you can't really like see like that with your naked eye. Microorganisms, of course. There's also, we study about viruses, we study about parasites, parasitologia. So in microbiologia, you do parasitologia, virologia, and there was another ologia, I don't remember, bacteriologia. So you're learning about bacteria, viruses, and also parasites. So yeah, I think at the end, well, no, parasites. Parasitologia is the last thing. So yeah, boring. There's no final exam. There's no final project. I'm coming to learn this semester. I don't know if it's because of our case, but there's no final project to the best of my knowledge. You do coursework though, obviously. So it depends on your coursework, and then within the coursework you have like 4 like midterm tests. Well, it should be 4, but we do like 3 like midterm tests. So we did on the general microbiology. We did a test on general microbiology. We did one for bacteria and fungus. I don't know what fungus is in English, but yeah, we did one on bacteria and fungus. The last one is going to be on parasitology, which is the study of parasites. And then for virus or virologia, we're doing like, there's a work that we're going to do and we're going to give it in to be graded. So they gave us like a list of questions, we're supposed to respond, and then we're going to give it in to submit, and that will be like the grade for that. Hoping y'all can't hear the birds. That will be like the grade for that. And then that's that. We're done. Yeah, so that was micro B. Can't wait to be done, honestly. They feel like you're sucking your soul to your life. It is so boring. The teachers be so boring. Like, we only had like one teacher. I miss that man so much. He knew it was boring enough, but his enthusiasm for the subject made you want to pay attention. Like, he'd crack his little jokes, no one would laugh, but at least we're not sleeping or in our phones or bored and thing like. And then I had another teacher, the man voice so monotone from, you're not even want to go to class, you don't want to go to class. Like, the man's voice felt like he himself was bored. Like, it was so bad. And then our teacher for parasitology, yeah, she's chill. Like, we actually be following. Like, so it really shows you, like, the teacher really makes it, like, if you're following or not. Next major subject, Introducción de Clínica Media. Basically what this course is you're learning the different, basically how to evaluate like a patient. So now the next year or next year, yeah. So third year, you're going to actually be in the hospitals, and every morning, like when you get to school, the first thing you have to do is you will be assigned a patient, and you have to go and assess the patient, take all of like their information, jot it down, all of that jazz and thing. And you're supposed to be doing the tests on them to make sure that the information is accurate, and then you check like the past tests like overnight or for the week or whatever. So we're learning how to evaluate them, what you need to be looking for, how to do the various tests to check that everything is okay or if something is off. That's what that subject is. So yeah, it's practical. We haven't done one written. The only thing we've done as it relates to like theory has been like, they have like a virtual classroom that we've been doing, and you have like, once we get taught a lecture or a conference, there's graded work that has to be like submitted via the electronic classroom or the virtual classroom, and you have to like select or respond there, and then you just send it in for assessment. You know, it gives you like the answer same time and it gives you a grade same time. So your teacher would be able to see that, and then at the end of it, he'll average out your grade, and then you get your final grade for that. But the practical part is the most important part about it. Lastly, we have 2 more subjects left. So the other thing that you do in second semester in second year is PE again. Yep. This is your final PE though. So at least there's that. This is your final PE. And then English, which I did the test other day. And our teacher was chill. Like, yeah, and you could say you sit the test, you can validate, they'll be like, oh yeah, you got a 5. And then you move on with your life. And that's it for second year, second semester. I know this video is hella long. I'm so sorry. If you did make it throughout the end of this though, comment a star. And don't tell the people in the comments what the star means. So yeah, comment a star if you made it this far. Thank you guys so much for sticking out and watching this long. I'm so sorry that this video took so long to come out. Hope y'all can understand my situation and ting. Sorry, but I do hope that you guys enjoyed this video. This is the last video in the Surviving Cuba series, at least for a while, because I usually do them I'm doing it in the summer. I don't have the time right now. So if there are any other videos Cuba related that you'd like to see, please comment them down below as well, or DM me. My DMs are always open. I'll always respond to you as long as like a Cuba related question. Guys, when you're messaging me, I'm one of those people, don't message me like, hey, and don't follow up with anything else. I don't respond to people like that. Like, unless it's a girl. If it's a girl, I will respond. But if you're a guy and you just text me, hey, or hi, and I don't know you from Adams, I'm not gonna answer you. So say what you need in the same sentence. Be like, hey, my name's XYZ. I just wanted to ask you a quick question, XYZ. Like, state what you want. I don't do small talk. I'm sorry. I don't do it. So state what it is that you need, and I will answer you same time. I'll voice note you. I'll whatever. I will respond. I swear. Just the way you approach me though, it varies your response time. It does. But yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Please remember to subscribe, share this video, please. Share this video, like this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.